Mike Krzyzewski's last home game this Saturday at Duke. He's one of the more decorated coaches of all time. 5 national titles, 6 gold medals as coach of Team USA. But after 1,500 games, he'll be coaching his final one on his home floor, Cameron Indoor. The Blue Devils, ranked number 4 in the country, will be hosting North Carolina. You spend over 40 years at a program. Your last home game is obviously a big deal. Tickets going for close to $3,000, more than $3,000. And with North Carolina in town, it makes it even better. This is one of the louder arenas I've ever been in. It holds over 9,000 fans, but the way it's built, like structurally, it just feels louder and more quaint, smaller. But this is normally a great game, end of the regular season game. But Coach K is going to walk off that floor for the final time. They, of course, will have the tournament games coming up. And I started to think about Coach K. Coach K started in 1980. I think his first win was against Stetson. But Dick Vitale started in 1979. And Dickie V would always talk about Duke. He loved the Dukies. Everything about Duke. He was nicknamed Dookie V at one point. But, I thought about that with Coach K ending his career. And I don't know if Dick Vitale will be able to call another game. I mean, I hope he is just healthy enough to be able to watch basketball. But he's going through a lot now, going through cancer treatment. But just the timing of this, we're getting ready for March Madness. This is when Dickie V is at his best. And it takes a lot out of him because he puts a lot into it. And I just thought about that Coach K and Dickie V coming into college basketball really at the same time. When college basketball was peaking, Dick Vitale was, then Duke became a brand. Duke became a brand like Notre Dame and the Lakers and the Yankees, late 80s, early 90s. Then we started to get tired of hearing about Duke because ESPN put Duke on every single night. Dickie V loved Mike Krzyzewski, the Blue Devils. You had Leitner, Hurley. You probably didn't like them. Had a lot of players go through there. And I've said before that as much as I loved UCLA growing up and John Wooden, what Coach K has done is more impressive than what John Wooden did. Because Coach K was doing it in a one and done. Coach Wooden had, Lou Alcindor and Bill Walton stay all 4 years. He had two of the 5 greatest, 4 greatest, 3 greatest college basketball players of all time. And they stayed 4 years. All of his players were staying 4 years. Coach K, they did stay. Leitner would stay. Grant Hill would stay. Bobby Hurley would stay 4 years, 3 years. And then you had the one and done. And to be able to kind of pivot and still make that work in a one and done era, to me, it's remarkable. And Coach K deciding that this is the time and John Shire is going to take over. You still have the tournament run here, but to be around for this amount of time. I remember graduating from college in 1979 and how important Dickie V was at that time. Because if you think about, and I don't want to do Mount Rushmore here, but if you think about those people who were instrumental at ESPN. First of all, the Big East tournament. The Big East tournament and Dick Vitale and Chris Berman are the 3 most important things that happened to ESPN. Now, this is early when we didn't know what ESPN was going to become. And, you go back when Dickie V was there and ESPN was carrying part of the NCAA tournament. Bob Lee was the host with Dickie V. Berman was such a formidable presence doing SportsCenter. I mean, Dickie V and Berman, they're there. That's where you start the Mount Rushmore. But having the Big East tournament and all of those different teams, coaches, styles, brands, it was so important for the success of ESPN. And you start to think about it now with college basketball. And look, I'm not going to whine or pine away for the old days. But, I start to look at college basketball now, and we really pick, when we fill out our brackets, you may pick a team because you went to the school or you like the coach. You may pick a tradition that they've had down through the years. It's still the tournament. It's still March Madness. It doesn't have the name recognition that it once did. And it never will have that. Unless you let the players go from high school to the pros and those who stay. I wanted to almost entice you to get an education, that if you did go to college, you had to stay at least 2 years. And maybe you start something that you'll come back to. But if you want to go pro and that's what your major is, that's the job you want, you should be able to go. I know the NBA doesn't want young players. They don't even like the one and done. They want something that's a little more finished, a little bit more polished, because sometimes you'll be drafting somebody and they may not pay dividends for a couple of years, and then you could be ready to go to your next team. I remember talking to David Stern about that he had players who would come in early, and because they were coming in early, they wouldn't last in the league. Had they had a little more seasoning, a little more coaching, then they probably had a better chance to do that. I don't want to begrudge anybody. Make a living, whatever your family situation is. I understand that. But it does hurt college basketball. Also, with the Super Bowl being moved back, the NFL Combine here, like that takes away some of the recognition, spotlight from college basketball. College basketball is really about the next couple of weeks. College basketball gets maybe a month, maybe a little less than that. We're in March right now. Tournament will be over in early April. You got the Combine here, still have Aaron Rodgers' situation coming up, free agency coming up, and that cuts into the college basketball season as well. I'm lucky to have been able to watch the tournament, go to the tournament, cover the tournament, interview these coaches from John Wooden to Coach K to Bob Knight. But I do miss it. It's not going to happen, and I don't think there's anything wrong with missing it. I think when you're complaining about it and then you don't want to watch it, it's not fixable. I'm going to watch. I'm going to be introduced to some players and some teams that I didn't follow during the regular season. We're going to pick our brackets. It'll be fun.